Okay, welcome everyone. This is class number 8 in our launch series, and this is our final one. So hopefully this has got some action happening in your business and has helped you get excited about what doTERRA has to offer, what these oils are, and how they can bless other people's lives and how your life can be blessed as you share. So today we're going to be talking about support and placements, and these are two key aspects of the business, and they're ones that most of us figure out by trial and error, but hopefully as I share my experience with you, or experiences with you, I should say, that will help you avoid some pitfalls that I've experienced and that other people have experienced, so that your growth, your journey can be a little bit smoother. So first off, we're going to talk a little bit about support. Now, I know we've kind of sprinkled support throughout this series as you've been listening to me, to Sarah, and to Myra, but I just kind of want to make sure and reiterate how important it is to support your people. Now, support doesn't look like beating down their door, blowing up their phone, scaring them off. You want to support people wherever they're at in their journey. So if you have somebody that is not returning your calls or is not responding to your texts, let them alone. Just check in very periodically with them. If you've got someone that is texting you on a daily basis, asking you questions, give them more resources, help them out. So you want to meet people where they're at and go with the speed that they're going. You don't want to be running a sprint and they're barely even getting their sneakers on. So just be mindful and honor where people are at on their journey and how fast they're wanting to go on their journey. And this applies to our builders as well. And I'm going to talk with that just a little bit more when we talk about builders. But as you're supporting your users, the best thing you can do to support your users is to plug them into things that are already happening, groups that are already established, websites that have lots of resources. So putting together like a document that you can send to them that says, hey, these are awesome links and awesome groups that you can participate in, is very important. So things like having a good Facebook user group to add them to. Now, there are many Facebook user groups out there. Find one that you like the feel of. It's a very active one. It's one that people are asking questions and getting answers, and add them to that. Do not add them to 20 different user groups, because that is just irritating. And do not add anybody to any Facebook group without their permission. Don't just make it a default that somebody signs up and you automatically add them in your group. That's disrespectful. We all hate it when we get added to Facebook groups that we didn't ask to be part of. So be respectful of that and figure out which one, maybe 2 user groups, especially like maybe if they're a mom with young kids, or there's somebody that has a lot of animals, or someone that maybe has an autoimmune condition, and maybe you have a specialized group that you feel that they need to be a part of, then that's okay. But of course, with their permission, but don't add them to groups like crazy. And make sure that they know that they still come back to you when they have other questions that they can't find in the group or they can't find in their book. Now, guys, this is going to kind of go into the self-support just a little bit, but it's very important to establish boundaries early on in your business. Treat your business like a business. You can't go to grocery stores 24 hours a day or McDonald's 24 hours a day, but you're not a 24-hour-a-day business. You're not, and you shouldn't be, and don't let people treat you that way. If people are texting you at 8 p.m. on a weeknight, maybe you just let that go until the morning, because that's a time when you probably should be putting kids to bed, getting yourself in bed, unwinding, whatever. But set your hours and stick to them. And I have found that if you don't answer right away, guess what? People get resourceful. We like instantaneous answers. And so we're not very patient people. And so if they ask you, oh, what do I do for allergies? Guess what? They're going to end up getting on the magical world of Google, or they're going to look in the book or the app that you recommended to them, or they're going to ask someone else. And that's okay. We want them to be empowered. We want them to be able to find their own answers. And that's why it's so important when you are doing the Live Guide, when you are doing that follow-up console, whatever you want to call it, that you're showing them the app, the Modern Essentials app. You're showing them the book. or the books, whatever books you like. There's the Essential Life book and there's Modern Essentials book. They're both great books, both serve the same purpose. Just figure out what you like and recommend that and help them get that book. For me personally, my personal enrollees, if they have, when they enroll, if they have a 100 PV LRP order the next month, they get their book for free. So some people give the book for free if an enrollment order qualifies at a certain level. It is completely up to you how you want to do that, but make sure that they have that book or the app to make sure that they know where to go, and you want to coach them to go there because you want to have that personal boundary and you want them to feel empowered. Because guys, that's what this is about. If they've got their oils and they still have to come to you for every little thing, it is no different than going to the doctor's office or going to the pharmacy. It really isn't. And we're trying to create empowered people that have solutions in their hands and they know how to get the answers and they know how to take care of themselves, because that is such an amazing feeling, right? We've all had that experience where we looked it up on the app or we looked it up in the book or we just tried an oil and it worked for what we were trying to do. And that is such an amazing feeling. And if we are not helping people experience that, they're not going to have as much skin in the game. They're going to feel helpless, and we don't want that. So encourage people, support them in this process. And sometimes supporting means not supporting, if you get what I mean. So have a little bit of a delay time as you answer people, as they text you, as they message you, as they call you. Have a little bit of a delay. Unless it's like in your business hours and you're good to go and you can answer right then, do it. But I typically, even then, I usually will give at least a 2 to 3 hour delay and allow them to figure it out on their own. And also for my own sanity. So figure out what that looks like for you, and it will change as your business grows and your team grows. That is going to change a little bit, and that's okay for it to change. But right now, kind of figure out what your boundaries are and stick to them. Same thing when people are like, oh, I ran out of lavender. Do you have a bottle of lavender I can get? Well, yes, I do. You can either replace it within a month or you can buy it at retail. If you have a few oils in stock, do not be selling them at wholesale. You want them to order it through their own account or buy it retail from you. Okay, so that's my standard rule, because as a diamond, I'm going to have more inventory. And that's number one, I'm an oil hoarder. Like, I just like having stuff on hand, and it brings me peace of mind. And so I have lots of people that will be like, oh shoot, I ran out of this oil. Well, I am happy to spot you that oil, but you have to replace it within a month, and I want you to order it on your LRP, because their volume needs to be where it's supposed to be. And this might not make a lot of sense right now, but as your team grows, you do not want to take volume or commissions away from somebody else on your team. Okay, and I learned this the hard way. It didn't make sense to me before because I'm not naturally business-minded, but that's something that I feel is a good rule and has worked really well for me. So just a little thing to remember. So other things that you can share with your users beside a good Facebook group, share with them the doTERRA page, guys. There is so much information there. And I wouldn't just say, hey, go to doTERRA.com, okay? Because that's not going to really make sense to them. Show them the doTERRA University link where they can go Living doTERRA, and it has all these videos, okay? So give them a specified link. Don't just give them blank doTERRA.com, because they're going to get there and going to be like, I don't know where to go. Yes, and Danny says the new link generator is awesome. And if you haven't seen that, I will share the link. Danny, if you can pull that, are you able to pull the generator, the beta link, and put that in the chat? We will share that link with you, and you can basically generate a customized link to go to whatever you want within doTERRA.com. And it's automatically linked to your Wellness Advocate ID. And so if it is someone that, thank you so much, Danny, it's labs.doterra.com/link-generator. And that will bring it up, and you can have it go to wherever, and it's associated with your ID. And so if it is a new prospect and they do decide to buy something or sign up, they're already linked to you. So that's super important that people don't fall through the cracks, okay? Because I know in the past, like, we were kind of scared to send people to the website because it wouldn't always link back to you. But with the link generator, it links back to you. So that's awesome. It's a great, great tool to use. Now let's talk about supporting our builders. Now, this is going to be a little bit different. Now, you're going to have people that come to you like, oh yeah, I love this idea of residual income and helping people. And they love the idea, but they don't love to take action. And so do not, and we're going to talk about this at the second half of this, in placements, do not place someone based on their words. Because really it's great in theory, but there's not everybody's going to be willing to take action. So take it with a grain of salt. Like, be excited. Don't just like be, oh yeah, let's prove it to me. Don't say that. Like, you can have that in your own head, but don't say that to them. But as people come on, they're excited. That's awesome. We want to meet that excitement, but we don't want to either give too much or not give enough. So you really want to feel out what pace they're wanting to go at and meet them in their pace, whatever that pace is. And pace is actions, not words. So they can talk up a storm, they can say all the right things, but if they are not meeting with people, they're not holding classes or one-on-ones, they're not enrolling people, then your part is going to be less, okay? And at the beginning, of course, your part is going to be a little bit more because you're coaching them and you're teaching them, you're plugging them into these videos, you're going through the launch guide with them. So that's going to be that. But once it's time for them to take action and start actually enrolling people and sharing the oils, that's going to be very telling, okay? So as you see that, if you see that they're one that they're just like, man, boom, I've got a class of 15, we're enrolling 10 of them, and we're going crazy, you run with that, because that's going to create a lot of momentum, not only within this new builder and their team, but also within you and the rest of your team, because it is contagious. It's very cool. And so be ready to run. If you've got someone that they're like, oh, I met with my aunt and she signed up with an intro kit, and that's great, and we're going to be excited that they signed up their aunt with an intro kit, but that's at a slower pace, okay? So we're not going to be sending that person to like massive training stuff and all this information, right? Because they're not ready for it. We're going to meet them where they're at and drip information on them as they need it, okay? So really let the people that are wanting to share, that are telling you that they want to do the business, let their actions tell you what pace to meet them at. Because I will tell you, if you are running faster than the person that you're that says they want to build, you will be dragging them and it will scar you both. It's not a good experience. It can hurt friendships and it's not worth it. So really go at their pace. And that doesn't mean that you can't inspire them to pick up their pace. But that's usually done through your actions and your example versus you trying to pull them along and expecting them to be someone and act in a way that they're not ready for, okay? So be mindful of that. Other things that it is important to support your builders and sharers on, get them to physical in-person events. So doTERRA offers events all over the United States and actually the whole world. Right now in the United States and Canada, they're doing the wellness summits and regional product training. Both of these are phenomenal for getting people engaged in the doTERRA culture. Because if you haven't been to a live event, guys, you don't know what you're missing. Meeting and being in the same room with like-minded people is invigorating. It's energizing, and it just gets you so excited that you are part of something so much bigger than yourself. And that is what's going to spur action. And if you can get your people that are interested in sharing and building to these events, oh my gosh, they are going to be that much more successful and that much more an asset to you and your team and to the world as they share. And I can tell you with Myra, she was kind of on the fence, and I was able to get her to come to an event that David Sterling, our president and CEO, was at, and Eric Larson, who is our master distributor. And she was able to have a one-on-one conversation with Eric Larson for 30 minutes or more about the upcoming Mexico market being open. And because of that conversation, that spurred her to want to build. And now she's a diamond and is an amazing, amazing, amazing asset and has changed her life and the lives of many people because she caught it, right? It's contagious. That excitement is contagious when we get to in-person events. So do what you can to get yourself to those events and get your people to those events. And that can also help transition some users into sharers or builders as well. So in-person events are huge. Convention is huge. Make every sacrifice you can make to be there because it is amazing and it will change your life and the life of your business. But the wellness summits and the regional product trainings are also fabulous for getting that energy and helping them get a taste of what doTERRA is. And it's so much more than just essential oils. So those are important ways to support our users and our builders. Oh, and builders, make sure they're in a good, active leader group where they can ask business questions and help them know like the business, what is it called? The business support phone number. So if they have business questions that they can ask. Because you're not their 100% source of information. They need to know, same thing as with the users, you want them to feel empowered in their business. And if they feel that they have to run to you for everything and they don't have a place where they can go for answers, that's going to be a stumbling block. So help them know their resources and how they can use that. So keep that in mind. Now let's talk about self-support real quick. And I talked about this when we did our mindset video, but I just want to reiterate it just a little bit. Spend some time on yourself, guys. If you are drowning yourself, either your schedule's crazy, your health is not great, your emotions are out of control, you're stressed to the max, you are not going to be an effective supporter of your team, either your users or your builders. And so take a step back if you need to and take care of you so that your bucket is full so that you have more to share. Because if you cannot serve from an empty bucket. You have to have yourself full of goodness and light so that you can spread that around to those around you. And really just work on becoming the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. And as you do that, you will attract new people. You will attract better quality people. And your team will grow and it will just be a huge blessing to you. So that's what I want to talk about support. If you think of other questions that you might have concerning support, feel free to unmute yourself or you can type in the chat box. But now I'm going to shift over to placements. Oh, I did forget one thing on builder support. Hold on. I'm going to share my screen real quick. Share screen. Okay. Okay. So this is something, and you can see the address here on the top. It's just it's on the doTERRA website. So you can go to, I think the way I got there was Empowered Success, and then the toolbox, and it has this in there. So, or you can just grab that URL for this PDF. But as you are working with builders and you're trying to identify what pace they're going at, this success check-in is huge. Because what it is you send it to your person, and let's say you're talking weekly on the phone with them, or you meet weekly for coffee, whatever it looks like. They need to fill this out before the meeting. And if you've got someone that is not willing to fill this out, that's going to be a huge tell for you, because this helps them self-reflect on if they are spending their time wisely in their business, and where they can improve, where they're doing well, and if they are spreading out their pipes activities effectively. And so this is a great thing just to fill out for yourself, as well as a self-evaluation of, hey, am I doing what I need to be doing? And so using the success check-in as you are meeting with your builders, as you're mentoring with your builders, use this. It creates accountability. It helps you ask the right questions and really help them remember their goals, because it's saying, what income am I trying to get to, or what rank am I trying to get to? And am I doing the right activities? And so this is super important to use as you're mentoring, because sometimes mentoring calls can turn into just friend check-in calls. And as much as we love to check in and chat with our friends, because a lot of times our business partners will be our friends, our mentor calls need to be respected, and it needs to be mentoring activities. So you can say, if it's your friend and they're wanting to just chit chat with you, you can say, okay, this first 30 minutes is going to be our mentor check-in. We're going to talk about the worksheet. We're going to talk about activities. Then we're going to hang up, and then I'm going to call you back as a friend. And then that way you can respect your time, respect their time, and be very focused. Because guys, if you do not treat your business like a business and you treat it like a hobby, it's going to have a glass ceiling. You've got to treat it like a business. And as you create these clear boundaries, as you're chatting with, you're doing your mentor calls, it's going to be better. It's going to create clear expectations. it doesn't mean you can't be friends with those that you're mentoring. That is, I would love, like, that's ideal. If you can become friends with those that you're mentoring and those on your team, that is really the best thing ever. Like, many in my team, they become some of my best friends. And I'm very, very grateful for that. But having that boundary of this can be our friend time, this can be our mentor time, can help just clarify that space. So make sure, and I'll put this address in the chat for you real quick. But save this, download it, and just, they fill this out every week. You fill it out every week as a self-reflection of making sure that you're doing the right activities to help your business grow. So let me put this in the chat real quick. And those that are going to watch the recording, I will put it in the description of the video. So now we're going to talk about placements. Placements, this is something that is probably the hardest part of the business, at least for me, which is hilarious because my top strength is strategy. I'm strategic. But when it comes to placement, I'm not traditionally strategic. I'm very emotionally and spiritually and energetically strategic. But when it comes to the strategy of placements, it can be tricky. It really can. Especially if you are not having those clear conversations with your people. Like Myra talked about, as we go through the Live Guide, as you use the Build Guide, you need to ask these people, what do you want out of this? How do you see yourself? Do you just want to use these oils? Do you want to replace an income? Do you just want to share occasionally, get your oils paid for? What does this look like for you? And that initial answer doesn't mean that it can't change down the road, because my initial answer was, I just want to share. Like, I don't really care if my oils get paid for. I just feel like I want to share. But that quickly changed as I saw that, hey, I'm actually kind of good at this. These oils actually changed lives. That changed to replacing an income, which I was a stay-at-home mom, so I actually didn't have an income to replace, but I was able to meet and exceed my husband's income. And that was an awesome, awesome thing. But my goals changed and my path changed. So as we were working on placements, you need to have those conversations. They might feel a little awkward, but I really feel that if you use the Build Guide, because of it, really just like have them look at it. Which one are you? And it's a lot less awkward. Some people are more confrontational than I am. I am so not confrontational. It's not even funny. It's bad. It's a weakness of mine. I'm working on it. So I like to show them the Build Guide. I'm like, okay, which one do you see yourself? And I always tell them there's not a right or a wrong answer. It just helps me know how to support you the best way possible for you. And so they can look at that and tell you. Now, do not have somebody that you meet with and you're like, oh, this person, like, they are my next builder, and you feel it in your soul and you just want it for them so bad. Wanting it so bad and them having potential and then actually doing it are two different things. Potential is great, but if they're not seeing that in themselves or they don't want it for themselves, it doesn't matter how amazing they are or how awesome their circle is or their influence is. If they don't want it, it doesn't matter. So don't place based on potential. Let me share my screen, and we're going to be looking right now. So if you have your launch guide, go ahead and pull out your launch guide, and we're on page 14 on placement strategy. And there it is. Okay. So as we are looking at this placement strategy, there's a lot of words here. You have 14 days to move somebody. So I really, and Myra said this, I believe, in one of the earlier things when she just kind of touched on placements a little bit, but enroll everybody as a wholesale customer. Because that gives you a second move should they change their mind. And even if they think they want to do the business, unless they already have like a stack of people that are ready to sign up, I would not recommend signing them up as a wellness advocate, okay? Because you can change over to a wellness advocate for free at any time. It's like takes 2 seconds, you enter your social, it's good, they're good to go, and then they can sign up all their friends and family, and you get a second move. So,
hey Nicole, can I say
something? Yeah, Sarah, go ahead.
I love doing that, because then when they do say like, hey, I want to sign somebody up, but I can't because I'm just a wholesale customer, that is such a nice transition to that conversation of like, okay, this is the difference between a wholesale customer and a wellness advocate, and really have that full conversation with them. and then let them decide, like, okay, do I really want to sign this person up, or do I just want to get a referral bonus, or what do I actually want to do?
I think that's great. And if that referral bonus phrase doesn't ring a bell, go back and watch. Sarah, was that your video that you did on the second inviting to do the business? I think that we talked about that.
Yes, I think so.
Okay. So that would be video number 3. Yeah. So video number 3 talks about the referral bonus. So, anyway, as you're talking to people, if you don't have that conversation, you literally are taking a shot in the dark. And sometimes you'll get it right, sometimes you'll get it wrong, and you'll never know until it's a little late. So have those conversations, even if it's outside of your comfort zone. Have those conversations, and as you place them, you can. Oh, that's not what I want. Hold on, I'm trying to open up the chat and I'm clicking on the wrong thing. Okay, there we go. So you want to, if you're looking at your structure, and if you're newer, you might not have looked at your graphic tree yet, I encourage you to log into your back office, go to the team tab, and then look at your graphic tree. And that's going to show you a visual of your team. And that's super important to understand that visual, so that you know where you're putting people and where you're grouping them together, because it really does matter as you're trying to reach for further ranks. Because you can get to the rank of elite with zero structure. You can have an entire, you can have 30 people on your front line and get to elite, and that's awesome. But you're never going to get past that unless you have 2 legs of 2,000 that are by themselves on your front line that are going to help you get to Premier. And then a 3rd leg to get you to silver. And so structuring, when you start out structure for Premier, you want to be focusing on 2 legs and grouping your volume in 2 legs. So ideally you want to have business partners there. But sometimes when we start out, we might not have business partners right away, right? And so you want to have what we call a placeholder or a ghost account, or a dummy leg. You'll hear them referred to in all different ways as you hear different videos on placements. And this is I'm doing placements 101. I'm doing very minimum, very basic. There's a lot more advanced strategies out there. And maybe we can course Myra to do that, because she is freaking amazing at that. Yeah, she's crazy good. And so as you're looking at this, you want to group people. So your dummy leg, your ghost leg, your placeholder leg, whatever, it's all the same thing. They're all the same thing. They're just different words. I usually say dummy leg because it's just a filler. I had one under my sister-in-law and brother-in-law. They were nice enough. They opened up an account and they're like, sure. And so I built a leg underneath them. And so I have a silver leg that I built underneath my brother-in-law. And they've dabbled in the business, but it just hasn't been a good fit for them at this time. And that's totally fine. I have no problem, because they were there when I needed someone. And then sometimes so it's okay to have that, but know that if the builder comes along, that they're willing to sign an account transfer form and allow you to put a real builder in that place. Because it's family and they do a little bit, I haven't replaced them. But I do have another spot that I have replaced that got built out, and I have replaced with the builder. So that is something that you can do. It's not ideal, but of course if you're the only one producing results and you don't have builders yet, you still want to have some structure. So talk to your direct mentor and upline that's helping you with this, and they can help you kind of create a personal strategy if you're having more enrollments than places to put them. It's a good problem to have, but you want to be grouping them together so that you're going to be maximizing your potential as you want to strive for higher ranks. So of course, business partners are going to be that front line. Now your front line is prime real estate, because the people on your front line are typically going to be your qualifiers. Sometimes your qualifiers will be further down, but at first your front line is going to be your qualifiers. So treat it like prime real estate, guys. Don't give that away to just anyone, because really those are the people that you're going to be working closely with. And I think I shared this story on. Actually, I'll share the story at the end of as we talk about placements. But so that's your front line, is your builders, your business partners. These are the people that they're your partners. You're in this together. You're building this together. You're going for it together. Level 2 are going to be those that are interested in building and sharing. but they're maybe a little bit more casual about it, right? They're excited, but they don't really have super long-term goals. They're just like, oh, this is fun, or whatever. Those are going to be on your second level. So those are going to be going underneath your business partners. Now, maybe you're enrolling all of these people. You're going to be placing them under them. Even if they're not the enrollers, you're going to place them under them. So let's take a little detour on enroller versus sponsor, because this can be a little bit confusing, especially as you're starting. So sometimes the enroller and sponsor will be the same thing. So for example, when I first I signed up with a girl named Marissa. And Marissa, I was Marissa's enrollment, and Sarah was on Marissa's team. And so Sarah became my sponsor. And as Sarah became my sponsor, that's my address, that's my placement. And then my enrollment was transferred to Sarah and helps her team, because it made better sense, because we're in the same place together. We were in Houston at the same time, and it made better sense for me and Sarah to be working closely together instead of Sarah just being, occasionally there. And so that sometimes will make sense, okay? Because Marissa lived away in Utah, and so it didn't make sense for me to be placed someplace else. So sometimes you're going to have people that you're going to group together by location. That makes a lot of sense. Or by common interest. And so that will be mindful as you're placing these people. Do these builders have something in common with the people you're going to place them under? Because really you want to look long-term, not short-term. And because if you look short-term, you're going to make mistakes. I have made mistakes short-term for sure, because I was like, I want to hit this rank this month. And because I did that, it ruined my rank in the future and made it harder to get back to that rank. So as you're sponsoring someone, so if, let's say Danny signs up his friend John, and John is not going to want to build, he's just a customer, and John is going to get put on that third level where you're going to put your customers. Now, just because he's placing John on his third level does not mean that he is going to forfeit his fast start commissions, because fast start commissions follow the enrollment tree, which it goes straight with your enrollment. If he put John on his 10th level, he would still get the fast start commissions on him on his first 60 days. Now, if he puts John on his third level, though, that after the 60 days, anything John is ordering is going to benefit the 2 levels between John and Danny. Does that make sense? And so it counts for volume and it counts for commission. And so as you're trying to build up, maybe you're trying to support some builders or business partners on your team, you can place personal enrollments below them to help boost that up. You always want to keep your personal enrollments, your personal contacts, until time. Then sometimes there will become times that it makes sense to transfer the enrollment over. Do not do that without talking to somebody in your upline first to make sure that that's a good move, because as you get into higher ranks, you get bonuses based on your personal enrollments hitting certain ranks. And so you can lose a lot of money if you give away an enrollment prematurely. And that's kind of advanced. We're not going to go into that, but just keep your personal enrollments of your contacts. Do not give them away. Like if you have a class, let's say Danny's friend John is hosting a class, and half of the contacts are John's contacts, and then half are people that Danny knew that John doesn't really know, that Danny invited to the class. Well, just because it's John's class doesn't mean that John's going to get the enrollments of Danny's personal contacts. John can get the enrollments of his contacts, but Danny would keep the enrollments of his personal contacts. And so you want to keep that in mind. Like I've had people, and I think I've probably done this myself, where I'm like, oh, they're going to be a new builder. I'm going to have you get the enrollment for this, and you get the fast start, so you're going to be all motivated. And then they don't care, because it's not their person. They don't care about that person. They don't have a relationship with that person. And so make sure that you're taking care of your personal contacts and you keep your personal enrollments. The sponsor is literally just the address, the location in your tree where they are. Okay. But don't sponsor people under people that it doesn't make some kind of sense, that there's not some sort of commonality. because it ends up making it harder for you in the long run, because you're having to support a lot more people than if they were like Sarah, for example. We're in the same city, so that made sense. We could support each other. And if I'm trying to work with someone that's states away and coordinate events and stuff, that's going to make it really hard. So do stuff that makes sense. The next thing with placements is you only have 14 days to move people. So make sure you put it in your calendar at their 10-day mark to move them, because it's so easy to forget. And I actually recently forgot with an enrollment I had back in March, and I was kicking myself. I'm like, because rookie mistake, like I know better, and I didn't put it in my calendar. And so make sure you make a mark at their 10 days past their enrollment. And it's 10 days, the day one starts on the day they enrolled. So if they enrolled on the 1st, that's day one. The 2nd is not day one. So make sure you count out 10 days, put it in your calendar, and that way you have a day or two to kind of figure out where you want to place them if you haven't figured that out already. It gives you time to talk with your upline that can help you strategize and place them where they need to go. But in general, this is where you're going to put people. Business partners on your front line, builders and sharers on that second line, and customers on the third line. So it's never going to be 100% perfect. But with this basic concept, you can know kind of where to place people. My ultimate placement strategy, though, is follow your gut. And I learned this the hard way, but thankfully there was a little grace. So my first experience with gut placements is what I call it. I had gone to a class that my friend had hosted. There were 3 people there, and they all enrolled. My friend enrolled, the 2 other people, and then there was another person there named Roxy Saran, and she enrolled. I didn't talk about the business at the class. I wasn't great with follow-up, but as I'm going in there to place stuff, my friend, she's like, no, I don't want to do this business. You do whatever you want, Nicole. I'm happy with my free diffuser. I can't even remember what I gave her, but I gave her some free stuff. And so I felt like when I was placing them, that 2 of the people needed to go under my friend. And so I put them under there. And then when I was going to place Roxy, I felt very, very, very strongly that I needed to keep her on my front line. And I was just like, this doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know who this lady is. I don't know if she even has any interest in the business, but I left it there. And lo and behold, she became this amazing rock star that just took off like wildfire and was a big, big blessing to me in my business because she rocked it out. Okay. Second experience is I had a lady come to my house that was drugged by a cute older lady and forced to do a Zygo scan at my house. She just wanted frankincense. Her name was Myra. And Myra did not even sign up for a wholesale account. She just bought some oils retail from me and went home, started using them, was crazy about them, brought all her family, like her kids, her husband, her sister, all over my house to get scans, and ended up becoming a crazy builder. Well, I had it in my gut to keep her on my front line, but I was like, no, I'm not going to make that mistake. I had made the mistake with some other people. I'm going to put her, and I put her on my 7th level. And thankfully, because doTERRA at the time, because we didn't have wholesale customers and wellness advocate accounts, we just had one account. We had what was called a 90-day premier move. And she was able to hit premier within 90 days, and I was able to move her to my front line. So just when in doubt, follow your gut. Because I truly believe God knows what's going to happen, and he knows where people need to be. So I don't have any problem seeking that guidance because I can't see into the future. And even when you do have conversations with people, you don't always know, and they don't always know what the path is going to be in front of them. And so when in doubt, follow your gut. So let's go ahead and open the floor to any questions about strategy, placement strategy, or support. Sarah, thank you so much for clarifying those questions. You're awesome. Because this can be tricky, and try to keep your questions kind of general, because if it's a specific situation, I don't know your team. I don't know, like, your upline is going to be a lot better to sit down with you and do your team. Go ahead, Danny. Go ahead. What's your question?
I've got some background noise, so I apologize for that.
Okay.
Um, I'm now getting to a point where I'm starting to rank up. I just hit elite, so now I'm looking at premier and silver. So now I'm kind of gone beyond the maybe the emotional side of placements, which is what we're covering right now, and I'm looking more at the point value strategies. And it seems like the key to all of this is to keep it simple and keep it small. So my mindset is grow elites, one leg at a time. Just focus on the one leg, and then move to the second, then move to the third, and then help them do the same. And it keeps it much more digestible and understandable. It's not so broad and crazy and everything's all spread out. It's like, okay, just keep everything consolidated, pack it in tight. Don't worry about the power of free, because in time that's going to come and it's going to go right from 50 to 1500. And it's like, you just made up for all that lost time, right? And that's kind of what I'm looking at it. So I guess, is that correct or not?
I don't think that there's a right or wrong. I really don't. So if that mentality works for you, awesome. Do it, go with it. I think that can be very helpful. Because when we can compartmentalize a little bit, it makes it more digestible for a lot of people. Because sometimes if they're like looking at the diamond structure or even looking at silver structure, that can be a little overwhelming sometimes. And so, be an elite making machine, you'll never go wrong. Because every rank is made up of elites. And so if you can just be an elite making machine, then that is fabulous. And it's going to create a lot of stability within your structure and can just make it very duplicable so that you're able to keep growing and stuff. Even though you're growing, don't negate the emotion, because sometimes there are bigger plans than what you can see and what you know. And I really feel like that can be like a big blessing or a big stumbling block if you do put those people in the wrong place.
You got to have the emotion, yes, because for an example, you get somebody and then their mom enrolls. Well, they want them close to them. They want to see the points go through their system if they become a sharer. Yeah. And so you do have to consider the emotional side for sure.
Yeah, and you want to for family, you always keep family together. Even if either one of them do not want to do the business, you always keep them together, because there will be situations down the road that one of them decides to share and you're like, well, why is my mom way over there? And I want her on my team. And then it creates a big crazy thing. So yeah, Sarah, go ahead.
Hey, Nicole, I don't know if you already covered this, but something that helps me with placements is I like to keep, we all have lots of different circles of people that we interact with. I like to keep circles of people sorted together. So okay, this is where I'm going to put all of my neighbors. This is where I'm going to put all of my Houston people. This is where I'm going to put my friends from church. This is where you know what I mean? And so that helps me mentally, especially if I'm looking for someone in my organization, where did I place them again? I know they're on this particular leg because that's where I put all of my neighbor people. And also I feel like it helps with, they help sort of support each other. And so that leg grows together. So Danny, that's pretty similar to what you were talking about. Focus on elite, focus on creating those groups of people who are using oils together. And then just make sure you have either a strong placeholder at the top or a strong person who actually does want to build a business.
Yeah, because if you can create those communities, that creates stability. If you have people that they become friends because they're all on the same doTERRA team, that creates a sense of belonging. And that is one of our deepest needs as humans, is to belong. And if we feel like our belonging is being met through our doTERRA circles, guess what? I'm going to be using doTERRA out the wazoo. And hey, you're going to feel pretty good in the meantime. So that can create a lot of stability as well as you create these little communities. Another thing with placements is that even if you screw it up, guys, doTERRA's compensation plan is so generous and so amazing that even if you do screw it up, because you will, everyone is going to make a placement mistake, you're still going to be compensated. And so even for Myra, for example, if I would have left her, if she would have stayed on my 7th level, she still could have been my qualifier because I had her enrollment. And so you can have a qualifier that is not on your front line. And I will tell you, the longer you're in this business, the deeper your qualifiers are going to be, because it doesn't matter where they're at. Now, thanks to dynamic compression, that volume, that unilevel will compress up and I will still make money. Now, do I make more money with Myra on my front line? Yes. because it helps me rank. If she was on my lower level, it would have been a different story. I still would have figured it out, but it would have been a different experience. But because of dynamic compression, because of the generosity of this compensation plan, you truly are compensated regardless of your placement mistakes or misjudgments. So
always keep the enrollment.
That's that's why you always keep the enrollment. Because when you get to silver and above, when any of your personally enrolled people hit elite for the first time, you get an additional share, which is about $150 to $175. Okay? Not too shabby, right? Listen to this. When you get to diamond, any of your personally enrolled people that hit Premier, you get an additional diamond bonus, which is between $2,500 to $3,500. And so we're not going to go into a bunch of details that about that, but that's why it's important, because that can be a lot of money down the line. And I do want to touch on Power of Three real quick, because Danny mentioned this. There's kind of two thoughts, and you just kind of have to do what feels right for you. And I really feel that you want to, it really depends on your goals. Some people get into this business and they're like, I just need to make my house payment. My house payment is $1,000 a month. And that's my goal, is to make my house payment through doTERRA. If that is the goal, do Power 3. That $1,500 bonus is going to be more consequential to you than what you're going to be making as a silver, because that silver is typically taking into account that you're getting your $1,500 bonus. And so that silver average that you'll see on sheets, those silvers are typically getting their $1,500 bonus. And so if you look at that, those silvers I think are usually about $2,200, right? $1,500, $700 is the silver. Okay. So rank does matter, but Power of Three will get you financially what you need to do faster. That being said, you want to create a stable Power of Three. You don't want to be creating like a bunch of, putting orders in or whatever. Like, you want it to be real people and real people that are actually using and ordering. So you're not calling them and hounding them. Why haven't you done your Power 3 yet? Why did you do 95 and not 100? Like, please don't be that person. Please do not be that person. So I like to build to rank with Power of 3 in mind, because the Power 3 monetarily is going to be more advantageous to you in the short run. In the long run, rank as your team grows and you just have your unilevel grows, because that's where the bread and butter, guys, is the unilevel. And I shared that with you guys too. Right? It's like, even if you don't hit your rank, you still have this unilevel that is going to just be amazing. And so that's where that money is going to come in as you're a silver, as you're a gold, as your team is growing and developing and having that volume. So keep both in mind. Don't completely discard one or the other, because I've had people that do both. They're like, screw rank, I'm doing Power 3, or screw Power 3, I'm doing rank. You really need to keep both in mind and just do it as balanced as you can. It's not going to be perfect, and there's going to be months where maybe you hit that 250 and the next month you don't, and that's okay, because you want to have like alternates in your Power 3 structure that can help qualify you. But it really is more monetarily beneficial in the short run is to focus on Power 3, but it really depends on goals. So Sarah says, for Power 3, remember that builders are going to be your most consistent customer, and a builder will keep up their monthly order. Customers sometimes fluctuate. Yes, amen, sister. So that's why it's so important to have your business partners, your builders and sharers, and then their customers, because guess what? That's your Power 3 structure right there. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay. Guys, I hope this series has been helpful for you. I know all three of us, me, Sarah, and Myra, have really enjoyed teaching it and connecting with you guys twice a week over the last 4 weeks. And we hope that you take this into your business, take what works and make it your own, because just because we said it's this one way doesn't mean that that's the gospel truth. It really is our experience. What we have seen has worked for us or others on our team. But it doesn't mean it's the only way. use this launch guide as an outline, not as like your doTERRA Bible. It really is helpful. But there are so many good things that you can do with this business. Make it your own. Use your strengths. Make it and be you, because that's what this world needs. That's what doTERRA needs, is for you to be you and not copying someone else. So guys, have a great, great day. Have a great week. And thank you so much for spending the time with us over the last 4 weeks. We've enjoyed it. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Nicole. Bye.
Bye, Sarah.